Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. Today I have a really big question for you. I came across something on Twitter. It's basically the question of am I the asshole, but this person didn't find the subreddit and I really needed to understand if this is something that you are familiar with. It's certainly not something that I'm familiar with, and quite frankly, if my friends did this to me, I would be horrified. So here I am, innocently scrolling through Twitter, about to have a dinner party, by the way, that same evening, and I come across this. Poor Amber. Amber says, got invited to someone's place for dinner and they charged me for it. This is weird, right? And I was like, yes, this is so freaking weird. Could you imagine going to someone's house and them charging you for dinner? Amber then responds to her own tweet saying this makes me not want to accept offers in the future, and I feel so bad. I had honestly never heard of this happening and I thought this was the most ridiculous thing until I looked through the comments and realised just how frequent this seems to be for some people, and that's just so confusing to me. If you come to my house, I will not even expect a gift. In fact, I will be mad at you if you bring something I expect you to take. I expect you to be good company, right? But like, I would never expect money. If someone turned around and gave me cash for a meal that I had given them, I don't know how I would react. I'd be like, the only exception to that rule is takeaway. In my opinion, if someone's coming over and you're like, oh yeah, do you want to like get a takeaway together? Particularly if you go for different things, I do think the unwritten rule is if someone's ordering to be like, oh, do you want to do it and I'll transfer you the money, right? And unless someone then goes, no, don't be silly, I'll cover it, then you shouldn't be charging people. And that's only if you invite them over specifically for takeaway and so people know in advance that they're probably going to have to pay for their own takeaway. Do you know what I mean? I had so many questions. I also found some of the responses really funny, so I wanted to go through some of them with you. Somebody says, well, there are a lot of other parties of guests who didn't know each other and sat at different tables all over the room, and people who wandered around and handed you sheets of paper with different food listed and asked you what you'd like. See, there you go, thank you. That justifies the whole takeaway thing, right? Like if I invited you to a restaurant and said, hey, do you want to go out with me to dinner somewhere, right? And we went out, I would not expect me to cover the bill. I'd expect us to share the bill in some way. And that's the same with takeaway. If someone else is offering a service and you are buying that service in with a mutual expectation that that service is being brought in, then you can help pay for it. But if it's not a restaurant, I would never charge you for dinner at my house. Could you imagine? You ate half of my asparagus. Also, it cost me 2p to heat up that piece of asparagus. I'm going to add that to your bill. No! Someone else said, I went to a dinner party with lobster once and after dinner they asked everyone for $75 each. It didn't go over well. Firstly, isn't $75 really a lot of money even for lobster? I don't know, I don't order lobsters at restaurants, but my goodness, could you imagine? Someone responded in their defense, lobster is expensive. In their offense, you tell people before you charge them when they have enough time to say, oh, if that's too much, I don't want to, or you're absolute scum. Scum is a strong word, but yeah, you absolutely tell people in advance, or you just don't cook lobster. You cook chicken or potatoes. Somebody else says, everyone's rushing to judge on this without context. What are you thinking? Did they tell you in advance that they had to chip in? Is the person a professional chef who put lots of time and effort into preparing restaurant quality dinner for a group of people? None of those hypotheticals would make any difference at all. I don't care if you're a Michelin-starred chef in the making. If I'm coming to your house for dinner, you've invited me to cook for me, I would not be expecting to pay for the meal unless you had invited me to your restaurant as a paying guest. That wouldn't make a difference. Hang on. Did they tell you in advance that you had to chip in? I see what this person is saying, that the hypothetical wouldn't make a difference at all. I guess it would make a difference in the sense that I wouldn't go. If someone was like, come to my house and I will cook you dinner, by the way, that dinner's going to be $40 because I'm making you the food. That's just not the kind of friendship that I have in my life. Unless, right, I can see it. I can see one scenario where I was like, hey babe, have you ever tried caviar? And my friend's like, no, I haven't. Have you? And you're like, no. Should we make some? Yeah, okay. You want to get it in? We'll split the cost, of course. Okay. Like, that's the only time. I think I'm having way too much fun with this. Someone else said that a friend invited us to his birthday party at a restaurant and had to pay for our food and drinks. Is that how Americans celebrate their birthdays? Oh, no. See, that's what I was just talking about. That one's a little bit more controversial. If you were to go to a friend's birthday, would you expect them to pay? I absolutely wouldn't. Maybe that's just because of the way that we've grown up. I see it sometimes, you know, especially in the movies. You know, it gives me so much anxiety where everyone goes to a party and they just pop their card in the middle, and at the end the waiting staff picks up one card and they pay for the whole meal. I know that's different to this as well, because this is saying that the onus of the person who's invited you has to pay, but that's just never the way that we've operated. Is that an American thing? Have you done this? If you do this, where are you from? But no, if I'm inviting you to a restaurant, I definitely think that the onus would be that you would contribute towards that cost. You know, I would always want to pay for what I've gotten, because then you also have that stress, don't you, of like, oh, if someone else is paying for me, I have to choose something super cheap. Or, oh, if we're splitting the bill halfway, then I have to make sure that what I order is about the same amount as what they order, otherwise one of us is gonna blah, 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 blah. Someone else said this actually happened to me last week. It was a group of friends and the host asked us to cash app her for the food she offered. What kind of friends are you hanging out with who are asking you to cash app them for home-cooked dinners? What the hell? Thank you. If I invited you over and said, I'll cook, I would never expect payment. That was my choice to host. I'd be thrilled if you brought a bottle of wine or a dessert, but if I was short on money, we'd have discussed it prior to the event and done a potluck. Yes, thank you. I love the idea of a little potluck too. That's so adorable. Somebody else says, this is the correct answer and the conventional expectation in the society in which I grew up. If you invite someone for dinner, it's understood that you're offering them a meal. They are your guest. You are not posing as a restaurant. 2 very good friends planned a baby shower for me. A week afterwards, they emailed me the bill for my own baby shower, which they planned. Oh my goodness. When I was like 15, 16, I was invited over to a friend's house for a pasta dinner. When I got there, my friend's dad said, all right, we're having lasagna. When are you gonna start cooking? I laughed because that's hilarious, but he was completely serious. They figured since I'm Italian, I can make authentic food. So there I go with the supplies they bought. I had to chop my way through making a sauce and putting together the saddest lasagna. Now, just for a second, imagine that was a culture that was very traditional for people to be a person of colour. Go on, brown girl, make us a curry. Like, no, that would never be acceptable. Why? Why did somebody think that that was an okay thing to do? I would never visit that person's house again. If my child was asked to do that and then they came back and they were like, Mum, because I'm Italian, they made me make a lasagna. The phone call that I would make to that person's parents. Oof. Honestly, some people are so shameless. This is far more common than some people realise. This has happened to me 4 times. And all 4 I got invited to dinner personally, only to receive an invoice by text afterwards. Is this in the same friendship group? Maybe one person did it and then everyone else did it to troll? Or to try and recoup their money back from the first horrible settlement. But I just cannot imagine ever being in that situation once, let alone 4 times. Is this really odd? Am I just being super dramatic? Is this something that you have experienced? Is this just normal and Shaaba just doesn't know about it? One of those times I didn't even eat because I don't eat meat. That is so sad. This reminds me of those times. Remember like those memes that were going around that were like, oh, well, you know, you're my wedding guest, but you're my part A or my part B or my part C. That's just not the way that you treat people if you love them. Hosting a party is about gratitude, it's about giving back. And if you're unable to host for financial reasons, you find other ways to give back, or you discuss it prior. As the lovely other person said, potluck it. Go to McDonald's, babe. Pick yourself up a 99p cheeseburger. Let me know if this is something you would do. Thank you for exploring Twitter with me today. This has been quite fun, albeit absolutely mind-blowing. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Don't worry, you won't receive any invoices for this video. I did that completely on my own time and of my own accord. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.